Right now, we are waiting to hear from President Obama. He will speak on long-term unemployment. He's been hitting the road hard since laying out his agenda in the State of the Union address when he vowed to go it alone if Congress would not work with him. Part of his effort to energize voters and cement his legacy, but now signs the mainstream media might no longer be buying into his message. Check out this headline from this morning's New York Times. Economy is expanding, but Obama's legacy may be slipping away. Judith Miller is a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter, author, and Fox News contributor. Kirsten Powers is a columnist for USA Today, also a Fox News contributor. He's got 3 years left in office, Kirsten. Is the legacy slipping away?
Well, I think the point of this article was that while the economy does look like it's finally turning around, the president is at a point where it's probably not going to turn around enough by the time that he leaves. So it's turning around, but I think most Americans would probably say right now they don't feel that. They don't really feel the economy is doing that well. By the time people start feeling it, by the time there starts being really great numbers versus just solid numbers coming out, Obama's going to be out of office, and there just isn't enough time probably for the economy to rebound to the levels that you would have seen under his predecessors. I
wonder about the thing that he's going to be talking about any minute now, Judy. That's the extension of unemployment benefits. I mean, 99 weeks people have been able to collect unemployment benefits for. It's kind of one of the hallmarks of his administration, this unemployment crisis we've had.
Yes, it is, but I think most people do understand that President Obama took over after the worst downturn since the Great Depression, and then, of course, he pivoted to health care rather than focusing all of his efforts on reviving and doing everything he could to spur the economy. We did have the large stimulus package, but this has been a very slow recovery. I mean, much slower than that of President Clinton and President Bush. So we have a real problem. He has a real challenge, and I think he knows that, and that's why the State of the Union was so overwhelmingly focused in the direction of the economy and doing things on his own if Congress won't do that with him.
Yeah, Kirsten, this president inherited a rough economy, but President Clinton did as well. President Bush 43 did as well, and the performance of the economies under those two presidents were better than they have been under President Obama. Is that a fair comparison? I mean, should the media be making that point?
Yeah, I actually don't think it's a fair comparison, and it was a comparison in the article that you raised earlier, because while they did inherit bad economies, you can't compare it to what President Obama inherited. I mean, I think if we all try to think back to that time at the end of 2008, when you have the banking system collapsing, I mean, that is an entirely different thing than a recession, and recessions are serious and are real problems, but it's not what he was dealing with. He was dealing with, we were on the brink. You know, we could have gone over the cliff, and I think that what the sort of collapse that we saw has a very different recovery than you have from a normal recession, and it was always going to take a long time. I think the president probably would have been wiser to let people know that than to make them think that this could be fixed quickly, because it never could have been fixed quickly.
What about
it was always going to take a long time.
What about Judy's point, though, that he pivoted to health care right away,
right.
And maybe should have spent a little more time and energy doing other things to get the economy back on its feet?
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism. I supported the Affordable Care Act, and I supported health care reform, but even at the time I thought it was strange, and I said at the time that I thought that there was other things he should have been focused on. He used all of his political capital to get that done, when perhaps he could have used it on things that could have been spurring the economy, what's done is done. There's no going back, but that's where we are.
Right, and Judy, Republicans, many of them complain that the Affordable Care Act hurts the economy and is doing exactly the opposite of what the president, should want to accomplish, especially as we're talking about legacy here.
I know, John. I mean, just as Kirsten was saying, if you do this pivot, if you do pivot to health care and then you screw up the implementation of it, you have a big problem, because you have a drop in confidence among the American people, and that's what we've seen. We also have, by the way, John, increasing skepticism, finally, by the media, by the mainstream media, because they really feel that Obama has kind of done his own PR, doesn't need us. And people in the media tend to resent that, being the kind of egomaniacs many of us tend to be.
All right, we're going to wrap this up now. Kirsten Powers, Judy Miller, thank you both.